Ever been kissed? Don't be nervous. Close your eyes. I accidentally went viral because of a makeup tutorial video. The A-list actress I was imitating called me in to be her body double for intimate scenes with the film emperor. My God, this kind of opportunity wouldn't come even in 8 lifetimes. I stepped onto the set, feeling like I was in a dream. Unexpectedly, right after our lips met, the bed collapsed. I scrambled up in a panic and ended up biting his lip so hard it bled. Just as I was about to apologize, he brushed my hand away, leaned in with an inscrutable expression, and said, "Come to my room tonight, double quotes, and put medicine on it for me. Me, Liu Chengxi, a newly minted D-list stand-in actress. Today, I'm here as the intimacy double for the female lead of this big-budget, big-director historical romance drama. When the lead actress, Yun Wonshu, found me through that makeup tutorial video, I was utterly bewildered. Did my ancestors accumulate so much virtue that I'm finally reaping the benefits in this lifetime? Honestly, I would have done this even without pay. But then, his mouth is bitten up like this. How can we keep filming? What were you thinking, using so much force?" His manager, Shen Qianrong, was absolutely furious, yelling at me. Heaven and earth bear witness. I had heard that some unscrupulous actors on set take advantage of intimate scenes by trying to slip in some tongue action. So I kept my lips tightly sealed. Shen Qianrong went to answer a phone call. Trembling, I sat down in front of Lu Yao with cotton swabs and antiseptic. I'll put the medicine on for you, I'm really sorry. I have no experience, Please be understanding, Lu Yao looked at me with a profound gaze. I couldn't tell what he was thinking. Does it hurt a lot? Please bear with it, My hand shook, and I missed the spot. Lu Yao tilted his head to avoid it. He leaned closer, his expression dark and unreadable, and said to me, "You come to my room tonight." I froze. When I didn't respond for a while, Lu Yao raised an eyebrow and tugged at the collar of his robe, looking at me. Well, isn't that a bit inappropriate? I glanced around guiltily. Even though I'd be willing. You're the film emperor. You should cherish your reputation. How could you possibly be interested in someone like me, Lu Yao looked surprised for a fleeting moment. Then leaning down even closer to me, he asked, "I'm calling you to come put medicine on it. What exactly are you thinking?" I wanted the ground to swallow me whole. Then, of course I'll take responsibility, I stammered out, embarrassed. In the middle of the night, I stood outside Lu Yao's door. I still couldn't quite figure out what felt off, but I inexplicably felt like a thief. Lu Yao, open the door. Lu Yao opened the door, wearing a bathrobe. I paused for a second. I'm here to put the medicine on. Close the door. Lu Yao seemed tired. He walked back in while reading a script. In my daze, I ended up bumping into his back. He frowned, glancing back at me. Liu Chengxi. On the bed, as I was applying the medicine, I heard him call my name and hurriedly responded, "Huh? Yeah? You keep staring at me. Do you know who I am? Seriously? Does he have zero self-awareness? Him, Lu Yao, the king of traffic, blessed with looks that could easily carry him, yet he relies on sheer talent. He just clinched the title of the youngest ever film emperor this year. Forget about me. Even the dog downstairs should know him." He turned to look at me. Maybe my expression was too shocked. Lu Yao chuckled lightly and didn't press further. Right at that moment, his manager, Shen Qianrong, suddenly barged in. Seeing the two of us sitting on the bed, she immediately yelled at me, "How did you get in here? Get out now. Lu Yao, make her get out." I had no idea what was happening. I scrambled to get up in a panic, but accidentally stepped on the belt of Lu Yao's bathrobe, which had fallen to the floor. Lu Yao reached out to pull me, but ended up being dragged down with me. With a loud thud, we fell in a heap. At the same time, a series of camera flashes suddenly went off at the door. "Who's out there taking pictures?" Shen Qianrong was frantic. She rushed out the door, chasing after a shadowy figure. I fell pretty hard. Gazing into Lu Yao's eyes, I saw his bathrobe collar hanging open. Once I realized what had happened, my face felt like it was about to spontaneously combust. Liu Yao also seemed to register the situation a moment later. Looking at me, he asked, "Are you hurt? Seems ... not really ... My voice was barely a whisper. "Then get up if you're not hurt. ... K." I didn't know when the room had filled with people. Shen Qianrong had returned with a bunch of staff, all talking in hushed, anxious tones. It must have been paparazzi. Liu Yao just won the Film Emperor Award. They're all watching him like hawks, desperate for him to make a major mistake. Shen Qianrong was pacing furiously, shooting daggers at me with her eyes, practically wishing she could vaporize me on the spot. I shrank further into myself. I understood now. Liu Yao and I had just been photographed. Thinking about what that angle might have captured sent a chill down my spine. Everyone in that room stayed up all night. At 6 a.m., someone shoved a tablet into my hands, their tone sharp. "Liu Chengxi, look at the mess you've made." Under the collective stare of everyone present, I sat up and saw the headline on Weibo, marked with the explosive. Film Emperor Liu Yao, chaotic private life. Indulges in scandal on set. In just 1 hour, it had rocketed to the #1 spot on the trending charts. The 9-grid photos attached to the post clearly showed the details. Liu Yao pinning me down. Amidst the surrounding commotion, Liu Yao propped his head on his hand, his slender fingers taking the tablet from me. He scrolled through it for a few seconds, then looked at me through his glasses. "Still looking? Reminiscing? Idol, your focus is really something else. Why you ... aren't you scared?" I asked nervously. Right then, an assistant suddenly looked up. "Her identity has been leaked. She's Yan Wonshu's stand-in." Now I started to panic. The comments under this trending topic were particularly vicious. A crisis PR response was urgently needed. Someone suggested, say she was the one who initiated it. "Liu Yao," his tone was nonchalant. "I was the one on top of her. Say it was an accident ... Netizens won't believe that," he said with a faint smile. One suggestion after another was shot down. Everyone was at a loss. Liu Yao closed the tablet, cleared his throat and looked at me. "What if we say I'm dating her? What do you think?" My mind went completely blank. "That could work," suddenly spoke up a big shot who had been silent until now. "Your CP with Yun Wonshu never really took off anyway. This is a ready-made reason. You already have a girlfriend. Even though Yun Wonshu is an A-list star, you just prefer this low-profile but hard-working grassroots girl. Fans might relate better, and they might even accept it." Grassroots? This sounded utterly ridiculous to me, but the rest of the room seemed to ignite with excitement. "Then how do we handle the follow-up?" Liu Yao looked at me. "Break up after some time." So cold. I forced a smile. What was even more absurd was that Liu Yao's team actually approved this plan. Half an hour later, the PR statement was finalized. It was only then that Shen Qianrong seemed to remember something and walked over to me. "Forgot to ask you. You've seen the situation. If you don't cooperate, you'll also face online harassment. So, name your price. How much to play along?" Let's do it this way. An appearance fee of 5,000 per event, extra for physical contact. Sign a non-disclosure agreement. We decide the breakup timing. Any objections? The sweet smell of money. I could hardly believe it. Suppressing my nervousness, I nodded. Okay. Give me your Weibo account. We'll draft the posts you need to make." They executed their plan with lightning speed. Once I posted my response, public opinion flipped dramatically. It seems nothing is impossible in the entertainment industry. I've truly broadened my horizons. Dating my idol. I thought that only happened in novels. No one knew I was actually a genuine fan of Liu Yao. In my junior year of college, I failed several versions of my graduation painting. After binge-watching his dramas all night, the next day, when I painted again, my advisor finally passed it, even saying I'd finally captured the feeling of being in love. Liu Yao had been reading a script ever since the incident was resolved. With his glasses on, he looked every bit the sophisticated, degenerate gentleman. No, the wolf in sheep's clothing. My heart was pounding like a drum. Seizing a moment when no one was watching, I walked up to him. "Liu Yao." I steeled myself and held up my QR code to him. If we're, pretending to be a couple, can we add each other on WeChat? After a moment of silence, he let out a soft laugh. At the same time, a ding sound came from his phone. Overjoyed, I eagerly retrieved my phone, only to see Liu Yao intently scrolling through my WeChat moments. With a playful tone, he read out my WeChat ID. Liu Yao's darling wife. What does it feel like when your idol discovers you've been fantasizing about him? Streaking in public wouldn't be as embarrassing as I feel right now. It was my little niece who changed it. He raised an eyebrow. Little niece? How old is she? 8, probably. Oh, is that so? Liu Yao clearly didn't believe me. He toyed with his phone for a moment, pushed his glasses up and said, I was actually starting to believe it. I was going to say the company doesn't allow dating. So, maybe you should wait until I grow my wings, start my own agency, and then I'll give you a chance to kiss me. His half-smile, combined with that aloof, untouchable idol aura, nearly caused me to drop dead on the spot. On my last day on set, Yun Won-shu had just arrived. At that moment, I was climbing out of a mud pit when I saw a high-definition version of myself walking towards me. I was thrilled. Ms. Yun, I'm your fan. But Yun Won-shu hurried past, acting as if she didn't know me at all. An assistant quickly explained for me. Sister Yun, this is your stand-in. Then. Did Yun Won-shu suddenly stop? She took off her sunglasses, glanced playfully at Liu Yao on the other side, and smiled as she nodded at me. The rumored girlfriend? Why is my idol gossiping about me? I wanted to say more, but the cruise car arrived, urging me to leave. Until the very end, I didn't get a chance to say a single word to Liu Yao. Back home, I turned back into a scruffy, deadline-chasing office drone. The scandal with Liu Yao was just a fleeting burst of heat. Apart from my parents persistently urging me to come back to reality and stop daydreaming, nothing much changed in my life. Half a month passed, and Liu Yao never contacted me once. One day, after finishing a commissioned painting and sending it to the client who had been pestering me all night, I collapsed in front of my computer and fell asleep. Not long after, I was woken by a video call. I answered with my eyes closed. When I opened them, Liu Yao appeared on the screen, wearing a costume from a Republican-era drama. Liu Yao? I called out nervously, feeling like I was in a dream. Do you need me for something? I'm free. I'm always free. But Liu Yao ignored my question. He was holding another phone, looking at something while we were on video. I do, he said. Then he flipped his phone around to show me a drawing. He smiled. Care to explain? This painting shows someone pinning down a girl, passionately confessing, and kissing her with utter abandon. And that person is me. I clearly saw the artwork I had slaved over all last night. In that moment, men would be silent. Women would weep. I checked my chat history. The client had been spamming me all night with "Sis, is it ready yet? My classmates are waiting." But I had accidentally sent it to Liu Yao, who had coincidentally just sent me a "You awake" message. I'm sorry. Are you going to sue me for violating your portrait rights? It's lose-lose for both of us. How about you just authorize it? I'll give you a cut. Liu Yao smiled at me even more ominously. That won't be necessary. You can paint me an identical one, but replace the girl with yourself, and we'll call it even. How about that? I felt like today might just be the day I meet my end. Just then, his manager Shen Xianrong's impatient voice came through. Hurry up. Tonight's dinner. Tell her to get over here quickly. Let's talk business. Or Sister Qianrong will get really mad. I hurriedly said. It turned out Liu Yao had a dinner that night with a famous director. They'd received a tip-off that paparazzi would be there to sneak photos, and they wanted me to come and put on a show. Since our relationship announcement, Liu Yao and I hadn't had any public interactions. Now, people online were starting to question if he was just putting on an act. He needed me to play along and show some affection. No problem, I agreed readily. Then Liu Yao suddenly changed the subject. You studied painting? Not bad. Since you went viral with a short video, why don't you post your paintings? My God, Liu Yao was really treating me like a friend. He was even giving me career advice. I paused, I paint because I love it. I seized the opportunity to push my luck. You really won't consider authorizing it for me? Liu Yao looked at me with an "are you for real" expression. I immediately changed my tune. I'll go get ready right now. That evening, I arrived at the agreed location an hour early. Unexpectedly, apart from the A-list director, there were also several B-list celebrities at the dinner. So I spent the whole time perfecting my polite smile performance. I kept my head down and focused on eating. Soon, I couldn't hold it anymore. On my way to the restroom, a waiter carrying a bowl of seafood soup happened to pass by. We collided head-on. Liu Yao immediately stood up and grabbed me. He shielded me in his arms, but it was still too late. "What are you doing?" Shen Qianrong's scolding voice rose above the chaos. I clearly saw the steaming hot soup splash all over Liu Yao. A sharp pang shot through my heart. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine." The arm around my waist suddenly tightened. I froze. "Someone's filming. Don't move." He glanced at the transparent window beside us. I instantly understood. "Okay." When the waiter handed over a towel, Liu Yao whispered to me, "In a moment, I'm going to kiss you." After 2 seconds of silence, he added, "It's extra pay. Refusing now would just seem pretentious." "Okay." A moment later, Liu Yao leaned down and kissed me, as if in reassurance. So that counts as mission accomplished. After dinner, we got into Liu Yao's van together. Shen Qianrong sat across from us, her face dark as thunder. I quickly said, "Just drop me off downtown is fine. Thanks." Liu Yao had his eyes closed, resting on the other side. Hearing this, he opened his eyes and looked at me. "To my place." He gestured for me to look in the rearview mirror. There were actually several cars following us suspiciously. I nodded in understanding. Arriving at the residential complex, Liu Yao and I held hands and went in. It wasn't until I was standing at the doorway of Liu Yao's apartment that I suddenly snapped out of my daze. "I'm not actually going to have to stay the night here, am I?" Liu Yao was very matter-of-fact. "Why do you think they followed us here? You mean, after we just went into the same building together, they still won't believe it? Do they really have to catch us before? I started stammering. Liu Yao calmly changed his shoes. After I changed into the slippers he provided, he pinned me against the shoe cabinet in his entryway. "That what?" he asked, his breath warm against my skin, his voice laced with amusement. In that moment, Liu Yao looked at me with that impossibly handsome face usually only seen on TV. I broke out in a cold sweat. So bewildered I even forgot to ask why there was a pair of brand new slippers here that perfectly fit my size. It was as if it had been premeditated. It's that kind of thing. The kind you have to pay to watch. A hand landed on my head. He ruffled my hair. "You just need to stay here tonight." "Alright. What on earth was I thinking? If you need to freshen up, there's everything new in the bathroom. Have a seat first. I'll make something to eat." I was stunned. He glanced at me and added, "I didn't eat much just now." But he had actually eaten quite a lot. I walked right up and asked, "Is it specially for me?" Liu Yao had his back to me, but I somehow saw his ears turn red. He said, My heart skipped a beat, but then I remembered he debuted before he was 20, and shot straight to the peak of his career. How could he possibly be interested in me? I'm this nice to all the staff around me too, he added unnecessarily. See, I was overthinking it. Liu Yao opened the refrigerator door, then closed it again. His long, elegant fingers rested on the fridge door. "I'll just order delivery." "Lu Chengxi, what are you smiling at?" On the surface, I managed to hold it in, but my toes betrayed me, curling and scrunching uncontrollably inside my slippers. I ran up to him and said, "Liu Yao, thank you." Liu Yao turned his face away, looking a bit awkward. After a while, he said, "I have to be on set early tomorrow morning, and I still have to memorize my lines later. What I mean is, it's your first time at my place, but I won't have time to spend with you tonight. But I'll try to finish up and come out as soon as I can." Why was he explaining this to me? Was he just being an extraordinarily hospitable host? I tried my hardest not to let my imagination run wild. It's fine. You go ahead and work." The delivery took a while. I went to wash up, then realized there was no hairdryer, so I went to ask Liu Yao. After Liu Yao pointed the way, I finally found it in the bedside drawer of the master bedroom. As I stood up, however, I saw a photo placed on the nightstand. The composition was casual, just an ordinary candid shot. A young Liu Yao stood in front of a burnt-out watchtower, his face slightly smudged with soot. I couldn't figure out why, with his looks, he'd keep such a photo by his bedside. A series of footsteps approached from behind. Startled, I turned around sharply and accidentally bumped right into Liu Yao. We tumbled to the floor in a heap again. Sorry. ... I tried to get up, but Liu Yao grabbed me. Wait. He looked toward the window. Only then did I notice the floor-to-ceiling window curtains were wide open. There are paparazzi outside, Liu Yao said, chuckling. You really know how to walk right into the trap, Liu Shengxi. With this pose, if we don't do something today... it really won't make sense. I was so annoyed I could have punched myself twice. How did things get to this point? Liu Yao looked down at me. I won't go too far. How much extra it will be, you can discuss with Sister Qianrong later. The atmosphere had been alluring, but his words. Suddenly, for some reason, a wave of grievance and resentment crashed over me. My eyes stung sharply. I took a breath and looked at him. If we're negotiating, I might as well talk to you directly. I don't necessarily need extra pay to be willing to act. I can also do it as a personal favor. Liu Yao abruptly stopped. He looked at me, his expression inscrutable. Before he could react, I lunged at him, lowering my head to kiss him fiercely. A few seconds later, Liu Yao forcefully took over, turning the tables. He seemed both angry and amused, enunciating each word slowly. Liu Shengxi, do you offer this kind of personal favor to everyone? I was furious. Liu Yao, take a good look at this face. I'm 23. Do you think I don't know I look like Yun Wonshu? With a face like this, if it weren't for you, why would I come act as a stand-in? Why would I agree to pretend to be your girlfriend? Who else could I possibly have this kind of friendship with? Dead silence enveloped us once again. Liu Yao's face was flushed red. At least I'd never seen him this red before. From his ears to his collarbones, from the corners of his eyes to his brows, he was stunningly, devastatingly beautiful. Liu Yao looked at me for a few seconds, then kissed me straight on. It was until my own anger had dissipated, and I was softly pleading with him that he stopped. We'll go to the bed later, and then turn off the lights, he said, his voice hoarse. We lay on the bed. Not long after, true to his word, he turned off the lights. After what felt like a long time, Liu Yao leaned over and kissed my forehead. I'll sleep on the floor tonight. Good night, Shengxi. Waking up in the morning, my feelings were complicated. Fortunately, Liu Yao woke up earlier than me and spent the whole morning busy on the phone. When we walked to the complex entrance together, his van was already waiting for him. I said goodbye and was about to leave when Liu Yao pulled me into a corner. I didn't mean it like that yesterday, he said, holding my wrist. You're not too familiar with this industry. I was afraid you'd be too nice and get taken advantage of. And I was even more afraid you'd think that I'm a frivolous person. This seemed like the first proper serious conversation Liu Yao and I had ever had since we met. I said deliberately, I don't understand. Can you be more direct? Liu Yao was taken aback. Direct? My heart went wild. Seeing my reaction, he couldn't stop laughing. He leaned closer and slowly kissed my lips. I'll tell you next time I'm back. ... he whispered to me. His van honked, urging him to hurry. He sighed and finally said 2 words. Wait for me. After that day, the paparazzi indeed released some intimate footage of us. The couple narrative was now firmly cemented. Shen Qianrong's attitude towards me finally improved somewhat, and she transferred the agreed-upon fees. That day, I walked alone on the street for a full 3 kilometers, not even knowing where I was going. When I finally stopped at a bus stop, I saw my own reflection in the glass grinning like an idiot. Liu Yao had actually kissed me. I thought he liked me. Liu Yao and I had only known each other for a little over a month. Before this, he didn't even know who I was. And he was Liu Yao. I must be crazy. I turned down all my private commissions, changed my signature to not accepting lie, Liu Yao, commissions, and secretly dreamed myself awake laughing at night. I dreamed Liu Yao came back for me. I even dreamed he proposed to me publicly, but I didn't expect the dream to end so quickly. 1 month later, I jolted awake from a light sleep, picked up my phone, and realized Liu Yao hadn't contacted me for a whole month. I thought, the entertainment industry is a bizarre, dazzling place. Coming across a beautiful flower isn't rare. Walk a little further and you'll find a whole sea of flowers. Who would remember what that first flower looked like? Maybe Liu Yao was just momentarily curious, but I took it seriously. It wasn't like I hadn't experienced failure before. After moping for a few days, I quickly bounced back, full of energy again. On the 1-year anniversary of my studio, I received a call from Yon Won-shu's assistant. I went to meet them backstage at a provincial TV station's gala. Yon Won-shu got straight to the point. She wanted me to replace her in acting in a short drama. The other party is a boy band member trying to break into acting. You can guess how that'll go. Luckily, I'm just making a cameo appearance. How about you go instead? Her assistant chimed in. The pay is decent, and there aren't any particularly inappropriate scenes. My face flushed like a sunset. It's not that Yon Won-shu. Why don't you take a look at the script and proposal first? I had already pretty much decided how to refuse, but out of courtesy I took a glance. That's when I saw the name of the so-called boy band member. Luo Yuan? I was stunned, enunciating the name slowly. Is it the Luo Yuan from the boy band Taimind? Taimind was a boy band that debuted 2 years ago. After their peak, their popularity had declined significantly. Luo Yuan had the highest popularity back then. Yon Won-shu. Yeah, what other singer-turned-actor named Luo Yuan is there? But I knew this person. Before I could even voice my thoughts, the dressing room door was pushed open unceremoniously. Yon Won-shu. Liu Yao walked in, wearing a cap, looking like he'd just rushed over. Liu Yao and I locked eyes. In my confusion, I instinctively addressed him formally. Teacher Liu, hello. Liu Yao froze for a moment. Then, his tone slightly cool, he repeated. Teacher Liu? Yon Won-shu, sipping water through a straw beside us, nearly spat it out. Liu Yao took a breath and stepped forward to grab me. Chen Shi. Just then, the door handle rattled again. Sister Won-shu, it's Luo Yuan. I heard you were at the provincial station and came by. About that drama. Can we discuss it again? I was dumbfounded. It was like opening the door for strange, oddly fitting, strangely coincidental. Snapping back to reality, I immediately tried to hide. But Liu Yao stopped me, his gaze fixed intently on me. What's wrong? Who is he? The whole world thinks we're a couple, but we have to hide from him. No. I immediately denied it, saying, Liu Yao, can you hide with me for a moment right now? Liu Yao looked down at me, puzzled. That's when I noticed I had, without realizing, grabbed his hand. Liu Yao seemed momentarily dazed, thinking he was angry. In a panic, I pulled him behind a folding screen, hastily stood on my tiptoes and kissed his lips. From behind the screen, Luo Yuan's voice drifted over. Regarding this drama, that matter, have you considered it? We were close enough that I could hear their conversation clearly. It sounded like industry secrets. Liu Yao's clean, yet sensual scent enveloped me. Sensing my distraction, he reached out and slowly tightened his arm around my waist. I pressed against his chest. Our lips brushed lightly against each other for a long time, almost like a real kiss. Liu Yao whispered by my ear. So an ex-boyfriend? No. Realizing I'd overreacted, I added. I mean, he claims to have been single his whole life. Liu Yao. Not familiar. I whispered. Liu Yao. Whether you believe it or not, I know him. I mean, in real life. I'm hiding because I'm afraid he'll recognize me, and that could be bad for you. Liu Yao froze for a second, then his fingers gently brushed my cheek. A faint smile touched his lips. So you're doing this for me? I nodded seriously. He seemed taken aback again, then leaned down to kiss me. Then Chengxi is a good girl. His words sent a shiver down my spine. Maybe because it was too thrilling, my body stiffened and I retreated a tiny step. Liu Yao whispered, "Careful." But before I could react, I bumped into the folding screen, sending it crashing down. With a loud thud, Luo Yuan, who had just placed a hand on Yun Wonshu's shoulder, turned to stare at us. His expression a complex mix of shock and something else. At that moment, I was utterly speechless. Really, it was a classic case of fearing something and having it happen. Just perfect. Sorry, I was just helping Liu Yao change his clothes back here. Anyway, I didn't mean to eavesdrop. Forget it, no explaining this. Just let me vanish. Liu Yao, however, seemed unfazed, only asking worriedly, "Did you hurt yourself?" In the chaos, Luo Yuan squinted at me for a moment, gave a strange, twisted smile, and suddenly turned to Liu Yao. I said to Yun Wonshu, "Sister Yun, I have something to do. I'll head out first." With that, I turned and ran without looking back. Running into Luo Yuan today was a complete surprise. I hadn't seen him in a long time, and I certainly didn't expect him to stay behind to talk to Liu Yao. Once childhood friends, two people who struggled together for their dreams. Now, just looking at him gave me the feeling of someone who fears the well rope for 10 years after falling in afraid he'd de-bite me. I had just gotten on my electric scooter when Liu Yao called. "Where are you?" "I'm on my electric scooter, heading home." On the other end, Liu Yao seemed to let out a sigh of relief. "Wait for me." 2 minutes later, Liu Yao, wearing a mask and cap, found me in the crowded ground-level parking lot. I looked around nervously at the people passing by, as I watched him casually stride over and climb onto the back of my little scooter. I was completely dumbfounded. "There are a lot of people here. So don't make a sound," he said softly, wrapping his arms around my waist. "Mum, the film emperor is sitting on the back of my electric scooter." "Okay, but are you coming home with me? Didn't you drive? I heard you were here, so I came straight over." He paused, as if swallowing some words, then said to me, "I have nowhere to go right now. Can you take me with you?" I guess so. You guys finished talking pretty quickly. What did he say? Did Luo Yuan mention me? I asked distractedly, starting the scooter, my voice tense. He did. Liu Yao rested his chin on my shoulder. Hearing my question, he replied lazily yet with a cold edge, letting out a short, cold laugh. Made a point of it. What did he say? He said you were his Saseng fan. My heart gave a violent jolt. I slammed on the brakes. He said I'm a Saseng fan. That 2 years ago I was cyberbullied for harassing him. And if I said anything else, it was just my delusion. Told you to be careful of me, right? Sensing the coldness in my tone, Liu Yao lifted his head and placed a hand on top of mine. More or less, but I didn't believe him. Even though he said that, I couldn't suppress the surge of anger in my heart. Liu Yao, give me a chance to explain, Take me home and explain. I brought Liu Yao back to my studio, only to have him see the half-finished party setup. Today is my studio's 1-year anniversary. A lot of people will be coming over later. If you're worried about being seen, you can leave first, I reminded him bluntly. Liu Yao was taken aback for a second. Then the corners of his mouth curved up slightly. He asked me, "Want me to help you set up?" Sure. I hadn't expected him to say that at all, let alone that he'd actually start helping me decorate. We worked until it got dark. When my colleague knocked on the door, he suddenly said with an unreadable expression, "You entertain them. I'll stay out of sight for now." I opened the door and my colleague wheeled in a large box. I absent-mindedly celebrated and chatted with them. 40 minutes passed and Liu Yao still hadn't come out. I found it somewhat amusing. If he didn't want to appear in front of others with me, why stay at my place? There were too many unspoken rules in the entertainment industry. I could understand them all. Worried that Liu Yao might be uncomfortable stuck inside alone, I used the bad weather as an excuse to send my colleagues home early. "Boss, not going to open the gift?" They were surprised. "It's probably just a sculpture or a decorative painting. I'll open it tomorrow and take pictures for you." "It's so big. Big enough to hide a person." "I'm so curious. Let's open it now." "It's a gift for the studio, boss. You should respond sincerely." It was all very strange. I told them to open it themselves, but no one moved. I had to do it myself. The moment I opened it, a burst of music suddenly started playing, followed by a series of popping sounds. Luau, in full costume and makeup, stepped out from inside, smiling as he sang, "Happy birthday" to my studio, placing a birthday crown on my head. The disco ball above started spinning, casting glittering lights. My colleagues around me went absolutely wild with excitement. I was completely dizzy. It wasn't like I'd never seen such grand gestures before, but this was a genuine surprise. And pulling it off like this made him look incredibly cool, while I felt utterly awkward. He planned this a week ago. Who knew you'd suddenly get called to the provincial station today? As soon as you left, we snuck in to help him with makeup. We almost didn't make it in time. Ah, boss, we're so excited. We love working for you. After frantically shifting the blame, they then frantically expressed their joy. As for me, my face was flushed, my heart pounding, and I couldn't seem to calm down. After the commotion died down a bit, the look in Liu Yao's eyes grew increasingly heated. After a few teasing remarks from everyone, they collectively disappeared. Thank you for the birthday gift for my studio. I'm really happy. I didn't know what else to say, so I just gave a silly smile, though it held a trace of bitterness. Liu Yao looked at me, momentarily taken aback. That's it. What more did he want? Liu Yao, I was recording a reality show for the past month. Once I got there and was sealed in, I found out I couldn't contact the outside world. The producer is a long-time collaborator and friend. I couldn't refuse. That's why I made you wait. I absolutely did not intentionally ignore you. Liu Yao sighed and began explaining to me. Listening to his words, my fingers twisted nervously behind my back. Actually, the moment I saw the surprise he had prepared for me and watched him step out, the tight knot in my heart had already loosened. A corner of my heart bubbled over with countless pink bubbles, filling me with a wild joy I hardly dared believe. I didn't quite dare to hope, but emboldened by my own audacity, I looked up and asked, "Do you like me?" Liu Yao probably had never met a girl as blunt as me. The big star in front of me was visibly stunned for several seconds. He'd performed in venues holding tens of thousands, faced national audiences, navigated countless complex situations, yet none seemed as daunting to handle as I was right now. Yes, I like you." As if he didn't know what else to say, Liu Yao finally gave a firm nod, the words tumbling out a bit awkwardly. He looked at me, the blush on his face visible even through his makeup. Now it wasn't just me being embarrassed. It was both of us. But how could you like me? I'm just a small-time artist. My new studio has only been open for a year. After paying salaries, I barely make about 20,000 a month. I began babbling nonsensically, practically ready to recite my ID number. Liu Yao laughed. It's not because of that I like you. Right. I had wanted to dig deeper, but the overwhelming surge of joy hit me. I bit my lip hard and said, "Okay, I'm willing. Liu Yao, I'm willing. I'm willing." I said it as if afraid he might change his mind. Now it was Liu Yao's turn to feel embarrassed. His gaze was intense. He suddenly stepped forward and hugged me tightly, stroking my hair repeatedly, as if he couldn't believe it. The mood was right for a kiss, but our foreheads bumped together. We both looked at each other and laughed. I didn't know why Liu Yao chose me. I only knew I'd been crazy about him for so long. I was ecstatic. I was actually together with him. People in love seemed incapable of getting enough of each other. We poured our hearts out to one another until very late. During that time, Shen Qianrong called several times, urging him to leave. Liu Yao responded a few times before reluctantly saying goodbye. Before leaving, he told me to remember to message him on WeChat. After seeing Liu Yao off, my emotions were still turbulent. Not long after, I heard knocking at the door again. "Did you forget something?" I rushed over with a smile to open the door, only to be met by a familiar yet unfamiliar figure outside. Luo Yuan seemed to have come straight from the TV station gala, still in his stage outfit. I saw an extremely distant, almost dazed look in his eyes. Meeting my gaze, which shifted from delight to wariness, the boy from my memories who once had a pure smile gave a cold, somewhat sinister smirk. Then, right in front of me, he gracefully and calmly pressed play on a recording on his phone. "Chengxi and I are really together. Yes, That's right. Sister Qian Rong, cancel that agreement. It was Lu Yao's voice, from a phone call with Shen Qianrong earlier, in the hallway. When I invited Luo Yuan inside, I too felt a sense of unreality. This apartment I lived in was one I rented back in college for painting. Luo Yuan used to visit often back then. Only a few years had passed. After he became famous, he naturally never came again. Meeting now, we were practically strangers. You're coming so late. I imagine you're not here for a casual chat to catch up, especially since you recorded that. After hastily pouring a cup of tea, I snapped back to reality. I couldn't be bothered with pleasantries. I looked at him coolly and said directly, "Out with it. What do you want me to do? Chengxi, do you hate me?" Luo Yuan paused, asking me this. I was also taken aback. It had been a long time since he'd spoken to me directly. As an artist in the entertainment industry, he was rarely allowed to interact directly with people outside the circle. Even our breakup back then was communicated through his manager. Coming back to my senses, I shook my head. No, that was my own choice. But Luo Yuan smiled at me. Don't worry, just asking. He sat down, speaking to me with an air of nonchalance. You should know, even if you did hate me, I wouldn't much care. I knew, of course. I sipped my tea, engaging in polite but hollow conversation with him, all while sizing up the person before me. Memories from years ago slowly surfaced. Luo Yuan and I were true childhood friends. Our families living close by, both of us passionate about the arts from a young age. He loved dancing. I loved painting. In high school, we took the art college entrance exams together and later both came to the capital. Our bond was exceptionally deep. But when I was a sophomore and a painting of mine caught the eye of a provincial spring festival gala production team, he was still at his academy, fiercely competing for a lead dancer position. Yes, I actually became known earlier than he did. A series of portraits of ancient beauties titled Lotus Steps caught the attention of the provincial spring festival gala team. They choreographed a dance based on it that became a sensation, and I gained popularity that year. The artist name, Luo Shi, officially took off from then on, amassing 5 million Weibo followers and countless commission requests. As for Luo Yuan, he joined a trainee selection program in his junior year. He struggled his way through, finally breaking into the top 20. It was also from that time that he stopped contacting me. I felt the growing distance between us, but still held on to hope until his manager called me. Luo Yuan is definitely debuting, but he has a lot of girlfriend fans. He can't admit to having been in a relationship. Ms. Liu, I heard your parents and his are close friends. You probably know what to do, right? Of course I knew. I understood. There was just one thing that bothered me. Is he so busy he can't even break up with me in person? I said sarcastically. He truly didn't tell me in person, nor did he explain what would happen afterwards. Naturally, I went through a period of pain. But if that was all, I wouldn't hate Luo Yuan. 2 years ago, on the eve of Timon's debut night, Luo Yuan's mother begged me to deliver a protective charm she had obtained for him to the training base. I couldn't refuse, so I went. I never expected that moment at the entrance of his base would be photographed. That incident made the trending topics that day. It was my first time facing the internet violence of the entertainment industry. Even though they didn't know who I was, or what I had done, separated by a network cable, those overwhelming waves of speculation and malice from those few photos nearly swallowed me whole. For a short while, I also had to decide what to do. Given my history with Luo Yuan, I was actually willing to bear this undeserved malice for his sake. I just never expected him to handle it in such a disgusting way. His team dug up my artist account, Luo Shi, and using my past Weibo posts cheering for Luo Yuan, told fans that I was Luo Shi, a crazed sassing fan who had been persistently harassing him. If I ever revealed any real information about Luo Yuan, it would just be the ravings of an utterly delusional person. These tactics, I thought, were utterly shameless. Luo Yuan's mother called me crying at the time, saying how hard Luo Yuan had worked to get where he was, that he was wrong to do this to me, and that he would definitely make it up to me in other ways someday. Because of this, our families also fell out. Of course, if I had fought back then, the outcome might have been different. But I didn't. Who cried from practicing dance until his bones ached but still firmly told me, one day I'll stand in the brightest spot and shine. Liu Chengxi accepted it. Luo Yuan and I weren't completely without contact after that. A little over a year ago, I suddenly got a call from him, asking me to come to a KTV. When I went in, I saw many dazzling celebrities I usually never got to see. And Luo Yuan at that time was drunk. Unlike his usual radiant self, he drunkenly pulled me into an embrace, laughing recklessly as he said to the people around him, "See? My lapdog. I broke up with her, trampled her into the dirt, and she didn't even make a peep." In that moment, for the first time, my heart, which had never truly grown cold, finally felt a deep chill. I pushed him away and said, "Luo Yuan, the choices you made, I never blamed you for. The choices I made, I'll bear the consequences myself. Just remember, from today on, there's not a shred of affection left between us. If you bother me again, don't blame me for not being polite." Before leaving, I gave a cold laugh and threw those words at him. That day, whether it was an illusion or not, as I was leaving, I thought I saw a trace of desolation flash across Luo Yuan's curved lips. "Sister Yun says she doesn't have time, so I could only come to you. She said if I could convince you, she'd have no objections, so you should do the shoot." When Luo Yuan said these words while sitting on my sofa, I finally snapped out of my reverie. It really was my imagination. How could Luo Yuan possibly regret it? I thought for a moment, then nodded. "Fine. I'll do it. What about the recording?" "Delete it." "I'll delete it after filming." Luo Yuan looked at me, then suddenly explained softly, "Our boy band's prospects aren't good. Shooting this short drama could help me get resources to go solo. I'm doing this for my future too." What did that have to do with me? Why was he explaining this to me? As Luo Yuan was leaving, he paused at the door, turned and said with a smile, "Actually, when you and Liu Yao's scandal first broke, I was thinking, how could he possibly be interested in you?" As expected, it was just a temporary measure. That really stung. I asked, "Didn't you hear him say he and I are really together?" Luo Yuan acted like he'd heard a joke. He turned his head, leaned close, and said to me, "Chengxi, the entertainment industry, you know. Liu Yao might really like you. But once something happens, let's see if he won't make the same choice I did back then." He reached out to touch my hair. I snapped back to reality and slapped his hand away. "Luo Yuan, you've always been on my mind. It's just that you hate me. When I've built a better career for myself and you've worked through your issues, I'll have you come back to me. Chengxi, you can wait for me." How did this person have the nerve to say such things? I was about to close the door, but I was too angry to let it go. Luo Yuan's expression changed. Still unsatisfied, I added, "I believe in him. He's definitely not like you. We'll see." I shut the door firmly on his coldly mocking expression. I understood Luo Yuan's personality. Proud, unwilling to bend. Even if he lost to someone, he would never, against his own feelings, offer them a single word of congratulations. Likewise, I knew he would never apologize to me. But he was also overthinking things. I would never look back. That night, I told Liu Yao on WeChat that I had agreed to be Yun Wenshu's stand-in for the short drama. After a while, he replied, "If you want to do it, then do it. It's not a big deal. There's nothing inherently wrong with it. I just heard before that Yun Wenshu's company has some shady arrangements in this area. So be careful. I just want to earn a bit more money. A startup capital for my studio for the next few years. I won't take any more stand-in roles," I said, hiding my real reason. I hadn't brought him any positive influence to begin with, and I definitely didn't want him to have even the slightest trouble because of me. "Okay. About the thing with Luo Yuan, I'll explain in detail when I have time. I don't like him, and I won't have any dealings with someone like him in the future," I added seriously. It seemed like he was in the middle of showering. Liu Yao sent a voice message a moment later. The background noise was chaotic, the sound of rushing water making my face flush. He brought the phone closer, saying with a smile in his voice, "I know. You like me." My heart was racing. After that day, I signed the agreement, carved out some time, and went to complete the filming for the short drama. Falling scenes, or being covered in blood. I didn't have much contact with Luo Yuan. During filming, I also heard some gossip, like how the production company for this drama was very mysterious. and the only known detail was that for some reason, they were particularly promoting Luo Yuan. Or for example, how Luo Yuan's acting was really not great. It might not be popular even after airing, truly a waste of resources and so on. On the last day of filming, I found Luo Yuan. I was very direct. The recording. Delete it. Luon was preparing for his scene. Looking at me, he smiled and said, "It's in the car. I'll give you a ride back later." In the car, I watched him delete the recording with my own eyes. I let out a sigh of relief and said, "I hope there's still a basic level of trust between people, Luo Yan. I'm assuming you won't keep a backup. You'd better not disappoint me." Listening to my tone that sounded both like a warning and a threat, Luo Yuan gave a half smile. "You really do like him a lot." I shot him a glare. Of course. I never expected things to go wrong the very next day. I was so tired when I got back that I collapsed into bed and slept. It was only in the early morning hours that I realized I had grabbed Luo Yuan's phone, which was identical to mine. Luo Yuan called me. "I'll give you the address. Come get it yourself. I'm not far from you. Oh, by the way, Liu Yao messaged saying he brought you breakfast. It's by the little river in the park near your place," Luo Yuan added with a mocking chuckle. I checked the address Luo Yuan sent. It really was quite close to the villa area on the other side of the river near my home. For 2 years, I hadn't known Luo Yuan lived here. I'd put on a mask and hat and jogged over. As soon as I got the phone, I was about to leave. Luo Yuan suddenly stopped me. "Chengxi." He reached out to grab me. I pulled back, and his hand accidentally brushed against my hat. Suddenly, my mask strap and hat came off together. I gave him a cool glance, picked them up, and said, "Anything else? Liu Yao is waiting for me. If there's nothing else, I'm leaving." Luo Yuan looked slightly dazed. After a moment, he smiled and said, "All right. Don't go too far. You still have to walk back, Chengxi." I walked away, glancing back to glare at him. What a weirdo. If I had known what would happen that day, I would never have gone to swap phones with him in person. Everything, it turned out, had been premeditated from the start. And everything was also beyond my expectations. Liu Yao and I had breakfast together, walked by the river, and fooled around. Dating a celebrity, apart from not being able to show your face, was absolutely perfect. After our walk, we had just gotten home when Liu Yao pushed me against the wall as soon as we stepped inside. "Wait a minute." My face flushed as I pushed against him. But he couldn't wait any longer. He took off his mask and kissed me directly. That perfect jawline, those well-defined muscles and lines, that clean, fresh scent. This kiss was so sweet. We didn't go out that day, spending the whole time cuddled up at home. While going through my things, Liu Yao found a graduation photo. He gazed at it deeply. I spotted Luo Yuan standing quite close to me in the picture. Actually, in that photo, our hands were secretly clasped together under the table. Seeing Liu Yao's somewhat jealous, stern expression, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. I'll tell you about him and me now. Liu Yao, don't worry. After you hear it, you won't have any reason to be jealous. It took me about 10 minutes to explain it all briefly. There really wasn't much to tell. I had long since stopped even hating him. Liu Yao looked slightly surprised, lost in thought for a moment before licking his lips with a complex expression. "Do you think I was stupid? I don't really feel like I lost out, because choosing to support his dream was my decision. I'm someone who values relationships deeply. I wanted to honor all those years of friendship. But now that bond is gone. We're done." Liu Yao gave a cold laugh. He turned my head gently and kissed me, his voice low and hoarse. "I understand. I just think he wasn't smart enough to realize what he lost." He looked at me. "But maybe it's for the best. If he hadn't given up, it wouldn't be my turn." I rubbed my nose sheepishly. "Only you think I'm that great." He smiled, pulling me into his arms. "Chengxi, you're inherently wonderful." We cuddled up again. Actually, after my Luo Shi account was essentially ruined 2 years ago, I had become a bit complacent. After getting together with Liu Yao, my drive to strive ignited again. I stayed up all night sending applications to participate in several major competitions, then went to sleep, filled with confidence. Who knew the world would turn upside down so quickly? One morning, I was woken up by a call from Shen Qianrong. "Liu Chengxi?" It was the first time Shen Qianrong had called me personally, greeting me in a calm, emotionless tone. I was instantly awake, my heart pounding. Sister Qianrong. Sorry, I just woke up. Is something wrong with Lu Yao? Shen Qianrong gave a faint smile and said, He's fine. But Lu Chengxi, the one in trouble is you. After hanging up the phone, my head was buzzing. Me? In trouble? What trouble could I be in? Hadn't I already been through trouble 2 years ago? Because my phone was on silent, I had many missed calls, familiar ones from my parents and colleagues, and unfamiliar ones, including some numbers from my hometown. I immediately recognized one as likely belonging to Luo Yuan's mother. I resisted calling them back and opened Weibo's homepage. The homepage was trending again. It was related to me, yet also seemed unrelated. The part related to me was that Luo Yuan and I had been photographed again, pictures of us standing together outside his house before dawn. The unrelated part was that the news headline was, Yun Wanshu and Luo Yuan fall in love on set. Spend the night together. Are they insane? The next moment, Lu Yao called. A pang of guilt and panic shot through me. Hello. Lu Yao sounded anxious, asking me, Where are you? Home. Only then did I realize my voice was a bit choked up. It had been 2 years since I'd faced this kind of situation. Experiencing it again brought back the terror of being cyberbullied, the accusations and criticisms that weren't mine being firmly pinned on me, impossible to explain away. Lu Yao paused, then said, I mentioned before this drama had issues. This is probably a planned publicity stunt. Yan Wanshu was careful and didn't get caught. Baby, you were a bit careless. I just went to return a phone. I know, Chengxi. I believe you. I don't know how long passed before I managed to find my voice again. I didn't quite catch what else Lu Yao said. When I finally snapped back to reality, I heard him say, Yan Wanshu's side hasn't responded yet. I'm busy with an event in another city. I'll come find you as soon as I'm done. Don't be afraid. There are ways to handle this. But don't do anything rash yourself. After hanging up, I tried to sort through the situation. I'd heard some whispers on set. This drama wasn't a big production, but it was tailor-made for Luo Yuan. If it couldn't rely on broadcast ratings to recoup investment and generate hype, then it had to rely on publicity stunts. This incident probably involved several people's intentions. Luo Yuan, who deliberately wanted to make this happen. Yan Wanshu, who knew there was something fishy and avoided it. And then there was me, completely in the dark, set up by Luo Yuan. Explaining it clearly wouldn't be hard, but first, the hype had already been generated. Second, if Yan Wanshu clarified everything, my own reputation would be completely ruined. No wonder Shen Qianrong said the one in trouble was me. My current identity was Lu Yao's girlfriend, being linked with another male celebrity. The best way for Lu Yao to avoid being dragged down would be to immediately break up with me and distance himself. My mind was a mess. From morning till dusk I stayed leaning against the bed. Lu Yao had an event. When he couldn't text, he had his assistant message me. My phone didn't stop buzzing all day. A bunch of people and media outlets were desperately trying to reach me, so at least I wasn't lonely. In the evening, Yun Wanshu's side released a statement, providing her alibi for that time. So, the person in the photo was confirmed to be me. With the dust settled, I actually felt less panicked and anxious. I just found it a bit laughable. Just a few days ago, Luo Yuan was sitting on my sofa, telling me to see if Lu Yao would make the same choice he did if something happened. And now, not long after, it actually happened. I got dressed and went out to eat. The security guard at the door looked at me with a mix of surprise and gossipy curiosity. The time it took to eat a meal was enough for me to think things through clearly. Lu Yao's event was scheduled to end at 8 p.m. It went without saying that after the event, he'd be surrounded by reporters, bombarded with questions about whether he knew his girlfriend had spent the night with another male celebrity. I didn't have much time. Lu Yao kept sending me messages, all saying the same thing. Baby, don't do anything. Just then, my phone vibrated. I picked it up and saw a new message waiting. It was from Shen Qianrong. In this whole incident, many people's intentions and interests were involved. The only person I never expected to be part of it was Shen Qianrong. She sent me a recording. It was actually the same recording Luo Yuan had taken back then, followed by her own voice, cold and ruthless. Lu Chengxi, I spent years building up Lu Yao to make him stand at the pinnacle and shine. But if he's plucked by someone before he even glows, I'd rather destroy this star I pushed up myself with my own hands. You understand what I mean? Shen Qianrong was known as the iron-faced queen of hell, a top-tier agent. Having been in the entertainment industry for years, she'd seen too much false sentiment. She understood better than I did how rare someone like Lu Yao was. She was only around 30 herself, with her own emotions and desires. She liked Lu Yao. So she liked Lu Yao. I took a deep breath, picked up my phone, and opened my Weibo side account. My meticulously maintained side account, built up over more than a year, was blowing up again. The scene from years ago seemed to be repeating itself. That day, I opened the Luo Shi Weibo account, typed out the 3 words, "I'm sorry," with difficulty, and that simple post was instantly flooded with countless venomous comments. Until the account was suspended from the barrage of abuse, I never got another chance to speak. Lu Yao's fanbase was much larger than Luo Yuan's. The flood of messages caused my phone to lag so badly, I couldn't even access the app for a long time. When I placed my hands on the keyboard, they were trembling. Lu Yao was still sending me messages. Reply to me. What are you planning to do? Don't do anything foolish. Even I can't talk you out of it, huh? Fine, Chengxi, let me tell you something. After I tell you, you decide for yourself. Watching his messages pop up one by one, I rubbed my eyes and paused my actions. Chengxi, you saw that photo on my nightstand, right? Does the place look familiar? 4 years ago. Hendian, a watchtower that was a tea house and restaurant. That year, I wasn't that famous yet. I was being forced by my company to take on a role I didn't like, having a meal with the producer and my agent. I was wearing earbuds, memorizing lines, preparing for an impromptu performance later. I didn't hear the shouts of fire outside. It was only when I felt the heat that I realized the first floor was on fire. The flames had spread to the beams. I couldn't get out. A girl rushed in and saved me. She grabbed me and ran. But she saved the wrong person. She came to Hengdian with her boyfriend, remembered the wrong floor he was on, and ended up saving me instead. When I saw her downstairs, her face was covered in soot. The back of her hand was scraped, and she looked dazed, obediently taking a scolding from her boyfriend. I thought, if she were my girlfriend, I wouldn't have the heart to scold her at all. The entertainment industry, intertwined with interests. I hadn't seen genuine sincerity in a long time. I've kept that photo all this time. It was you who forgot me. I also knew about all your history with him very early on. That's why I believe you. And it was me who asked Yun Wonshu to find you for that acting job. She was protecting herself. I won't blame her. But you are my girlfriend. Lu Chengxi, this time it's my turn to save you. Reading this, tears uncontrollably fell. I knew that once the news of Lu Yao's interview came out, it would cause another explosion. I didn't know what he would say, but seeing his words, "This time it's my turn to save you," made my heart flutter with anxiety. Don't do this. Don't say anything reckless. I didn't know what he was doing. He wasn't replying anymore. 8 o'clock arrived. No interview was scheduled for the event. The media surrounded him spontaneously. He could have said nothing, gotten straight into the car and left. But upon hearing something, he suddenly turned around. All the cameras instantly swiveled in the direction he was looking. Lu Yao gave a faint, somewhat sarcastic and cold smile, asking that person, "What did you say?" It was a male reporter. Hearing this, his face flushed red, but he still blurted out, "So, you're okay with your girlfriend cheating and having an inappropriate relationship with another man?" A wave of gasps and murmurs swept through the crowd. Lu Yao smiled, his expression both mocking and icy. "She didn't. Also, mind your words. She is my girlfriend. I trust her character." This development was beyond Shen Qianrong's expectations. She had instructed her assistant to bring Lu Yao back immediately after the event ended, never expecting they'd run into a reporter with such a loose tongue. Shen Qianrong also never expected Lu Yao would act so impulsively. She had tried to threaten me into taking the blame using Lu Yao's future, But she didn't anticipate losing control over the star she had personally nurtured. That night, a fierce argument was inevitable. Shen Qianrong smashed every porcelain object in the room to pieces. When Lu Yao walked out, the place was in shambles, but he simply calmly dialed a number. "Hello?" My voice on the other end was hoarse. "How are you holding up?" "I'm okay." Lu Yao chuckled. "Things might not turn out as badly as you think. Even if they do, I've just negotiated the termination fee." "Lu Chengxi, there's a sentence you once said to Luo Yuan. I'm giving it back to you now. My choice, I'll take responsibility for it myself." Epilogue. Lu Yao, 4 years ago. "Woman, you have successfully caught my attention." I stood in the room, wearing earbuds, trying hard to grasp the tone of a young CEO from the script. The more I practiced, the more frustrated I became. It was only when an astonishing heat radiated from behind me that I realized the entire door was engulfed in flames. The wooden watchtower burned quickly. Thick smoke billowed. I coughed violently. I had 2 choices. Jump from the 3rd floor or be trapped and die there today. A splashing sound of water echoed, dousing the floor at my feet. A pale figure rushed in, a girl with a towel wrapped around her nose. Seeing me, she immediately hoisted me up by the shoulder and pressed a towel, equally soaked and dripping, over my face. Thinking back later, she probably didn't recognize me because her actions were simply too swift. "One, let's go. Get out." She held on to me, crying out, "Yuan?" The moment I understood, it felt like a blow to the head. I told Sister Qianrong I wanted to go downstairs to thank that girl. Shen Qianrong stopped me. "The company will handle it. You're an artist. Don't get involved personally." "How's the line memorization going?" "The opportunity I fought for you has been moved to tonight." She was extremely strict and quite domineering with me. On one hand, out of trust and dependence, I didn't oppose her. On the other hand, I still felt I hadn't achieved enough success to have the strength to resist her. But in that moment, I changed my mind and said to her, "Sister Qianrong, you asked me before, between the hard path and the easy path, which would I choose? I choose the hard one. If I don't become famous, I'll accept it." I ran into Lu Chengxi again, online. "Still don't know how to use fairy lash extensions." Yun Wenshu's same fairy lash application method. Grab your notebooks and take notes. After applying, you'll be the fairy herself, approximately. That soft, gentle girl, 2 years after that massive storm, appeared in my sight once more, full of endless vitality and youthful exuberance. Watching her funny makeup tutorial video, I smiled warmly. That night, I sent a WeChat message to Yun Wenshu. "Do me a favor. For that drama we're filming, use a body double." After the so-called 2-timing scandal died down, I lay low for quite a while. The company didn't terminate my contract, but the impact on the fans was too great. The company asked me to temporarily suspend work and rest at home. I took the opportunity to take Chengxi on a trip abroad. Worried about me not making money in the future, she was very frugal with our spending. At the same time, she would secretly prepare to enter those supposedly high-prize international illustration competitions online whenever I was resting. She always felt guilty deep down, and no amount of my reassurance helped. A career can be rebuilt, but if I missed her, I was afraid I wouldn't get another chance. For example, Luo Yuan. I overheard him calling Chengxi secretly at night. Chengxi wasn't great with words, not usually one to curse, but I was surprised to hear her swear fiercely. "Get lost. Just because you're no good, you think all men in the world are no good. What gives you the right?" Then she turned around and ran right into me. I raised an eyebrow. "In every way," she stammered, her face red, and tried to run into the room. I caught her and held her tight. It was already 2 months later when we returned to China. My historical drama with Yun Wenshu was airing, and I needed to do promotional runs. Seeing her in good spirits, I let her be. I wouldn't let go of those who hurt her. Before I could take action, that person got into trouble on their own. Further investigation revealed Luo Yuan had helped her launder money, and subsequently, their improper relationship was uncovered. Yun Wenshu didn't take the bait, but Chengxi got dragged into the mess. Her old account happened to be unblocked that day. Encouraged by me, she simply used the artist name Luo Shi to announce the good news. As the first Chinese person to receive this award, her real identity was quickly uncovered. Along with her relationship with Luo Yuan, photos of them growing up together since childhood, and evidence that they were childhood sweethearts, all came to light. The reversal of public opinion can happen in an instant. The video of me saying, "She didn't" also inexplicably went viral. Luo Yuan's short drama was almost unable to air before its premiere due to the backlash. After airing, its reception was abysmal. From that day on, his Weibo comments were flooded with comments 100 times more venomous. His career in this industry was essentially over. The day she returned from receiving the award, I went to pick up Chengxi. She rarely dressed so formally, wearing bright, vivid makeup. She excitedly rushed over and hugged me. "Lu Yao, I'm amazing. I didn't even know I was this amazing. Look, am I a little more worthy of you now? Really ... After achieving such a great accomplishment, her first thought was still about how far she was from being worthy of me. I hugged her and kissed her deeply, overwhelmed with emotion. My words came out broken. "You've always been worthy. It has always been me who needs to work harder to become worthy of you." The end.